Welcome to the HireLearning Podcast, the show where ambition meets strategy. This is your go-to space for career truth, financial empowerment, leadership growth, and real conversations that are unfiltered and uncut. If you're ready to elevate your career, confidence, and future, then you're in the right place. Join our co-hosts, HR professionals Yolanda, Aaron, and Caroline, right here, right now, for an episode of HireLearning. Welcome to HireLearning, the podcast that supports people seeking new employment, starting over, retooling, and reclaiming power in the workplace. I am Yolanda, owner of Concepts and Solutions, mediator, strategic communication, and business advisor.
And I'm your girl, Erin, the owner of Anderson Consulting and your trusted human resources business partner.
I am Caroline, owner of Traditio 2 LLC. I am your talent management, risk management, and branding strategist specialist. And we are the hosts of HireLearning, the podcast that focuses on actionable advice for those who are employed and unemployed.
Our podcast will cover the full career life cycle, including resume optimization, strategic career development, interview mastery, and navigating the workplace.
And we welcome you to HireLearning, where we are unfiltered, uncut, and focused on having real conversations. So subscribe now and join us.
Good evening.
Hey, how y'all doing? Doing well. Good. Cold enough for you out here?
Man, loving it. Arctic temps.
Yeah, so what's the topic today?
So today we're going to be talking about what happens after you get laid off.
Let go, fired,
Downsized. Yeah.
no longer needed, reappropriated, whatever you want to call it.
Restructuring.
All those cute terms. Well, I could tell you.
Okay, well have you ever been fired from a job?
Yes, I actually have been fired from a job. And one time I elected to be laid off first because I knew that it was coming.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, so tell us your story. Story time, y'all. Come on.
Oh, gosh.
What happened the first time? Which one was this?
The first time I worked at a marketing agency in Philadelphia. And actually it was shortly after I had my twins. And so this was like 96, 97. They weren't even one yet. So definitely 96. Probably a couple months old. And I chose one before this happened. I chose to walk off a job because the vice president had treated me very nasty after I came back from maternity leave. But I was empowered by going on maternity leave because I had always worked. I hadn't even taken a vacation. I was, young, 27 years old. And I always felt like I had to work to make sure I paid my bills, my car note, and my mortgage. And so after being on maternity leave and not being paid, I realized that I was able to pay my rent, pay my car note, pay my mortgage, pay my car note, and carry on. And so it gave me what's that?
How though? How were you able to pay all these bills without being paid?
Well, I had only been me up to this month up to this time. So like I said, I never took vacations. I always saved my money. Okay. And it was just me. I didn't have any credit card debt. I really just had me. Mm-hmm. And I worked for actually a minority-owned company, and I remember going into him and asking, and it's so coming off subject, but it's going to really go into what empowered me after I got fired. Mm-hmm. I went to his office and asked him if he had maternity leave, and he laughed at me. And he said, do what his daughter did, going down to public assistant. And I couldn't believe he said this.
Wow.
And everybody who worked at this company,
he
was black, and most of the people working was all white males whose wives did not work. And they had a lot of kids among themselves. And so the vice president said something to me after I came back on maternity leave, and I was like, I do not have to deal with this. And I walked off. I was like, I know I'm employable.
So you wasn't fired then?
Not on that job.
You quit.
I quit and I found another job by going to temp agencies.
Okay.
And so that was on a Thursday, and I started my new job on Monday. And the new job that I started was at this marketing agency. And I really enjoyed it. And I went there as a temp. And about 2 or 3 weeks in, they wanted to hire me permanently. So I was like, oh, okay. So I started there permanently. What?
So what was it about you? What happened that you were there for 2 to 3 weeks and they said, I need you on full-time permanent? What did you do?
I think it's who I am, or who my mother trained me to be. So very early on, when we were like 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and was a latchkey kid and had to answer the phone, my mother was not playing. When you answer the phone, you get a piece of paper and you had to take the name, the phone number, know what time they called. Like, she was not playing. I was like her little secretary.
Oh my God.
I'm so serious. She was not playing. Do not give her a phone message and you don't have all the information. Okay. Hide that one, throw it in the trash, tell her nobody called. Thank God caller ID was not available back then because she would be on that. You did not give her the real message.
So
because
I was
training. Yes. Honey, that's a whole other
Training
episode I could tell you about. How to prepare yourself so your first job.
Before you
I walked on.
So you added such a value.
And I was the executive
so your
assistant
skill
president.
set, when your
But it
work
was
ethic,
a large company, but still
drive,
small, where
your
you could do everything.
professionalism,
So I was
the
his
value
executive
that you
assistant, but I
brought to
also
the
was a
company
project
in terms of how
manager.
you
I would go in and be the marketing, research
I wore many
analyst.
hats.
Yes, and that's what you do.
When-
So
yes,
I volunteered to do everything. And I wanted to do what the guys was
Your
running.
answer is yes.
And
Even
so
if you don't know how to
you better go find out.
Listen.
You better
There
go
we
find
go.
out.
So when I got to this marketing
And what
company,
they asked me,
I don't
so
even know
I was
what I was
computer
hired for
savvy
as a temp,
because I
but
had
they
to
needed
I used to
someone
volunteer for everything.
to do
And when they
SAS.
started doing
I
data
know what
calls
SAS
and
was. SAS
pulling
what?
cable and
But
setting up
I knew enough
computers
about
when
Excel
Microsoft Office
and
first went
databases
to
and Access
government
that the
I
gentleman
always
who
thought
was
that
really their SAS master,
he was able to teach me. So basically, really all I was doing was creating scripts.
And that SAS is old school.
It
Exactly.
is also
Oh,
Very
that's
much.
statistical
Like
analysis, something.
Systems or something
Yeah.
like that.
She's
So
trying to
I'm
enrich
curious.
me.
I'm curious to know while all of this was going on, when you were in the throes of having to pivot, how were you feeling? How was
So I didn't get to the fire part yet.
Okay.
So
Okay.
So she quit. So she quit.
Quit the first job.
right.
She got
Got
a
it.
tip job. They
Okay.
hired her on board full time.
2 to
Okay.
3 weeks after I got
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Okay. So what happened?
They wanted me to do this. It was a marketing company, so you had to write these scripts for them to go out and ask people questions and then collect the data.
Sure.
Right. So in the midst of all this, remember not just the internet, but websites and stuff was just really being
Right.
developed during that time. And so the owner of the company selected me, the only black woman sitting at the table with these guys, about 4 or 5 other guys in him,
Right.
to build this website. And so I'm learning just like they're learning. And so I'm asking questions. And one of the questions I happened to ask, well, who wanted to do that? And they wanted to use buttons within this website rather than maybe a pull down
Drop-downs,
feature
right.
or something else. And in this HTML, I do know that, and so I'm trying to figure out this language and how to make these little icons and what graphics. But all these white men in the room was trying to figure out the same thing I was.
Right.
But they weren't asking any questions.
Okay.
And this was the lesson that I learned. So I was asking questions. It was like, well, who wanted to do that? Or why do we have to do that? Or is there another approach? Or have you all thought about this? Why call me into a room if you really don't want me to say anything or ask any questions? It was 2 weeks after that that my direct supervisor put me in a room, and this is what they did. This is how we knew we was going to get fired. Everybody else was called into the conference room. And the person who was going to get fired was not called in the conference room.
Wow.
But the person who was getting fired also didn't know that he had pulled everybody in the conference room. And I'm sitting at my desk, and she walks in, and she was like, Yolanda, I really don't want to do this. I'm so sorry, but we have to release you from your duties today. And I was like, what?
Right. Okay.
I was like, really? And I feel like I knew enough that I didn't have to ask any more questions. I got my little stuff and I left. And I remember, because I lived
no explanation.
If she gave it to me, it was so unimportant to me now that I can't remember what it was.
Wow.
But
Okay.
I tell you, it was years later, after doing some coaching, after I became a facilitator, after I've taken like
Right.
the next gen classes, I realized why I got fired.
Why?
Unspoken rules.
Bias or
Unspoken rules. The reason why I got fired was because that owner of that company did not like the fact that I questioned him.
That you was asking questions.
That I questioned him. And I questioned him on something about what he didn't know. And he did not have the answers for. I wasn't mad. And the reason why I wasn't mad, because when you go to a temp agency, they train you. They test you.
Yeah.
So you have to get tested on if you know how to spell, if you know how to write.
Right.
And back then, if you know how to utilize the computer. Well, I was taking the computer test, so you took Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and Outlook.
Right.
And the first they start you with Outlook. Then if you pass Outlook, then they give you Word. If you pass Word, they give you PowerPoint.
Right.
If you pass PowerPoint, then they give you Excel. I was the only person they was able to give all those tests to in the same
Right.
sitting. And I overheard the girl tell the manager that, oh my goodness, we're going to be able to place her fast. And that empowered me. I didn't really know what that meant because I had never been to a temp agency before. But I knew that I just had these kids and that I needed to be bringing in income so I could carry on.
Right.
Upon the last name. But anywho, that empowered me to know that I was marketable. So I just called back the temp agency and said, can you place me on another assignment? And they was happy to, because this is another thing that I learned. So when you go to a temp agency, you might get paid one salary, but
Right.
they getting paid on top
Double.
of that.
Yes,
But when
absolutely.
the company they send you to select and hire you, they get paid again.
Double
So-
dipping.
exactly. And so they was happy to place me somewhere else.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't know it at the time, but they offered me more money, and I should have known. When I came back, all of a sudden they placed me for more money on another site. And then I went to work for Temple University or University of Penn, one of those places.
So what this just underscores, a couple of takeaways that I've observed. You were not aware of what was going to happen.
No, I wasn't.
When the situations presented themselves, you accepted the situations for what they were, as much of an inconvenience, as much of unexpected thoughts or what have you. And lastly, you didn't get stuck there in that situation. You did not allow that situation to define your ability to navigate, to pivot, to think outside of the box. Because when you're talking about technologies and when you're talking about, like you said, placement and realizing my brand and what makes me different is the fact that as a employee, I have these competencies, not only just in terms of Word, not only in terms of just PowerPoint, Outlook, I also know Excel. So I am a quadruple threat, and I'm able to invest in myself, empower myself, and move forward.
Now let me ask you, when you got to your next agency, or at the template agency placed you at your next position, did you ask questions?
Did I ask questions of the temp agency?
At the new job.
You're like, no, I'm not
what's my
asking questions.
responsibility?
Like,
or-
because you got fired for asking questions. My question is,
Oh, did I
did
question?
you go to the new job and
Right.
ask questions?
Did
I'm
you
always
follow
going to
this?
ask questions.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
because
love that. I
I'm just
love
not
that.
a person to not ask questions. Now, I know how to ask questions, and I feel like I had decorum. I wasn't rude. I was excited. And, well, why we have to do it this way? Have you all thought about this? I'm thinking that it was a meeting of the minds. Why else ask me in the room?
Oh my gosh, because they said, how dare this black lady, this young black girl.
Question me.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Here you are thinking,
that
I'm
You're
on
being
your level.
yeah.
That we're all in this together. That we're all
on
learning at
the same team.
time.
We're all on the same team.
One team, one goal, one fight.
Yeah. Okay.
Meanwhile,
Now, there's a hierarchy here, and you need to understand your placement in the hierarchy.
so what I love is that you didn't let that change who you are at your core.
And I was probably so young I didn't even know to. Honestly, I didn't know to. But that's breeding. Because if someone keep telling you that you're going to be great or aspire to be great, then that's what you do. It doesn't matter what's said in the background, right? And something else that you said, Caroline, is what I said to you was that the young lady Christina also told me that his wife, who was his partner at this company, said I was too big for my britches. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And she said, will you dress like her? And I was like, what? So, I know I didn't dress like her. I dressed like my mom. And she's very fashion savvy. Okay. And with some conservativeness. And so I learned that a long time ago. And I don't know if it was like I was preppy or whatever in school, but it's just certain things you did not wear to the office. Right. And not that I had a lot to choose from, but I just knew how to mix it up.
I got a story about that, but that's another episode.
Okay. Yeah. Make sure you write it down.
I'm going to write it down.
So, and so I had to sit in it, but I'll never forget. My mother makes capes, and I wore one of the capes like over my little suit with my little hat. And I remember that lady saw me and asked me where I got it from. I was like, oh, impressions. But I didn't feel like I need to elaborate more than that. Like, did she really want me to tell her where I got it from? Well, I did. But did she think I was supposed to name a store or something or give her more information? I never did. I never really talked to them. I just went there to go do my job.
So the thing is, also what I'm hearing is you showed up as you. And sometimes when we show up as our quote unquote, I've got the terminology authentic self, I don't necessarily value all the time because I think that that's just word salad a lot of times. I think there's the notion that your authentic self is all you need to do to get your foot in the door, when in reality what's behind the door may not want to receive or even see your authentic self, may contest or may be
which is
insecure.
Her story, right?
Insecure of
She's
who
being
you're
authentic. She's asking questions. That's who she is. And she got fired for being herself.
So, right.
So, you're right. I 100% agree with that notion that you just put forth. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that this is eye-opening. I think that the fact that as you retell this story, your true self and your authenticity and curiosity and passion is still present today. Because in a lot of situations, not everybody has that confidence. Not everybody is empowered. Not everybody's built from that same DNA. And so, I find it admirable.
So let me say this: did you get fired for dressing too nicely? The second time?
Sounds like it. That's what I heard.
What happened? What happened?
This is still on the same job.
This at the marketing, the white
the marketing company.
Marketing company.
They were actually Hispanic company from Brazil. The young lady Christina was the one who told me that it was the wife was
of
the one
owner.
the owner.
Did she work?
She was their business partners, so she worked at the company too.
And she was hating so hard that you got fired.
Wow. I guess they had their conversation. They probably had conversation on pillow. Their midnight talk. Yeah, pillow talk. They probably had pillow talk and had the discussion.
Wow. Okay, so what did you do the second time?
No, this was the same job.
Yeah,
Oh, you mean the second time I got released from work? That was a different company, and that actually was a black-owned company. I love the company in Philadelphia. I actually was a computer trainer and facilitator for this company.
Oh, wow.
But unfortunately, the funds was misappropriated, And so we knew that they had to close this segment down. So I actually taught the Warfare Back to Work program. And people who was coming out of
look at you.
juvie.
Teaching all the way back then, still doing it today. I love that. I love that.
There you
Yes,
go.
ma'am.
That's my purpose. That's my call.
Yes.
And teaching people who's coming out of prisons or halfway houses or whatever, helping people get to work. And that's what I really love doing. I want people to be able to be employable.
Yes.
And it was a computer class, but I taught them how to use email,
Yes.
how to write those resumes,
Sure.
cover letters, and things of that nature.
And that's like a parable or something. Like if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day.
If you teach them how to
Teach
fish,
him. Yeah. That's
eat
what
for a
you-
lifetime.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to teach you how to fish. So
That's
that you
right,
can eat.
absolutely.
For a
Forever.
lifetime. Absolutely.
Amen. Okay, go ahead.
So one thing that I learned by the time this happened was to always have a niche. I have something to fall back on. And so teaching was my thing to fall back on. And so I had started teaching on my own, whether it was children. When I went to Temple University and University of Penn, those doctor wives needed to know how to use the computer. And so they would hire me to go to their homes and teach their wives how to use
Wow.
email or just basic computer skills.
That is
And so
that's
I
nice.
just started, that was like my side gig. And then I started an after school program called Kids Can Compute Too. And so that was another little side gig. I rented a little house, a little room actually, across the street from elementary school.
Yep.
And the kids would come over and I would teach them how to utilize their computer. Now,
Wow.
parents thought I was supposed to be doing their homework. Oh, that wasn't my job. But, so I always had something in the background to do.
That's a good key point too.
Always have-
have a plan B.
Absolutely.
Fall back.
Because I was going to ask, like, what was your strategy for your bounce back and your lick back? Like, did you have one strategy or was it a multiple? And maybe you didn't define it as a strategy.
I
but-
didn't know too.
What-
I was
okay.
under 30. For me, I felt like it was a hustle. I had these twins and I had responsibilities.
Yep.
That's really the only thing that I thought
Okay.
that I was working for, to stay afloat.
Which is a lot of, unfortunately, black women struggle as single moms. We got to figure it out.
That's what
I've
I was
done that.
doing. I simply
Yeah.
was just figuring it out,
Yeah.
and I was going to make it work no matter what.
Yeah.
So the figuring it out is a strategy,
yeah.
right? It's you may not know or label it as such, but there are levels to figuring it out.
It is, but I have to go back a minute because there's struggles that come with it and obstacles. So before I got laid off from the marketing company, I had just turned down a position that I would have had to move back to Washington, D.C.
Oh, wow.
I had just turned down a position with the Small Business Administration, actually. But because I had moved to Philadelphia and I wasn't ready to come back to D.C. and I had just had these kids and I'm like, oh, am I going to pack them up? I had just bought this house. This is all in a year's time. Settlement and their birthday in the same month.
Okay.
Walked off that first job, recommendations, that no longer in business now. Walked off that job the end of September. Was fired from that job probably in the springtime. So I probably only worked there like 6 months. And so sometime in that 6 months, I was offered this federal position that
Okay.
I turned down because I would have had to come back to DC. Remote was not
Right.
a thing.
Right.
All right. So I turned that down, then get released, then went to the temp agency, got this new job, and then ended up getting hired from this company that, like I said, that would teach the Warfare to Work program. And they misappropriated funds again, and so we knew that it was coming. And we, matter of fact, knew that it was just a matter of time. And I feel because it was really a religious company, and I was not of that religion, that those who was not of that religion, I figured was going to be capped first.
Okay. Okay.
But because I had this little gig set
Sure.
on the side, and matter of fact, this is how I got hired to this job, because they wanted to know during my interview, how did I teach? And I said, it wasn't important for me to know, for me to teach how to use this computer, how to use this keyboard, and how to use these apps. I'm teaching you how to get a job utilizing this tool.
Sure.
That was the most important thing to me, and I think that's why I got hired for this job. Well, that's because I put all the skills that I already learned to work by utilizing this computer to get a job, right? And so when the conversation came on, we all in the room, I said, let me go first. Because I knew that if I left first, it would give me time to figure out where I'm going. I don't need to be coming in there for 8 hours every day, and can't be at home sending my resume out, or walking the streets trying to see, not walking the streets, but going door to door to see what applications I need to fill out. Because back then you really did come in and apply for jobs in person, filling out applications and things of that nature. I needed that time to get this.
So that was a project planning strategy. That was you didn't, again, I
know the terminology then, but that's what I did.
So when you volunteered, you raised your hand and said, okay, let me go first. Was that company obligated to give you a severance payment?
I honestly don't know if I got a severance, but I got something better. The gentleman who was my supervisor, loved him to death. He, even 15 or 20 years later after that, gave me a reference. So when I went to that job, you don't know what you're really going to get from that job or what you're going to take from that job. But I look for something important, and that is resources. And people are resources.
Absolutely.
And I knew that gentleman was very smart, intelligent, and he saw my worth. So that's my point of contact. When I needed a job, I knew I was going to go back to him.
There we go.
And I did 2 times. After I moved back to Philadelphia, moved from Philadelphia to DC, I utilized them 2 times.
That's key.
Oh,
because it was a point, I had to learn at a point in my career as I moved up, that no longer is it about how much you know or what you can get done. It's about your interpersonal relationships.
Absolutely.
What they say, who you know?
Who you know and who knows you.
Yes, but that's another episode.
That is another episode.
Yes.
So this has been awesome, getting firsthand views on your trajectory once you were laid off, reallocated, let go. So
and then volunteered to be let go again.
And I'm telling you, a true risk taker,
yes,
change agent. And we just are so glad that you shared these very important stories with us today.
And I hope that it encouraged some of you. And we just want to say thank you for tuning in today to Higher Learning. And if you enjoyed this episode, you want to hear some more, please give us a like, share us with your family, your friends, and follow us. And we'll see you back here next time.
That's right. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.